about
Yeah.
that? Yeah, all right, good. All right, let's do this.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jason Nellis Show. I am your host, Jason Nellis, and with me today is a veritable legend in the tech review industry, a man who has been here more than me and knows more than me and frankly is cooler than me. And that's just, I mean, to be fair, I could probably say that about a lot of folks. But here he is, the man, the legend himself, Kevin Nether. You might know him as Kevin the Tech Ninja. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Jason, it is always a blast to see you, man. And I appreciate the intro. I think you give probably the best intros on the internet.
You're very sweet, and I'm going to hold you to it. And that's going to be a quote I'm putting on my website eventually. So there we are.
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah,
I will. Today, as we've talked about in previous episodes, I'd love to learn a little bit about your creative process, talk a little bit about the tools and hardware that you use. But, the first place I want to start with is just simply, you've got a lot going on in your life. You've been doing YouTube for, I want to say, 8 or 10 years now?
Yes, 10 years. Yeah.
10 years?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been holding down a full-time job in addition to your full-time YouTube work.
Sure.
What made you decide from the beginning that this was the path that you were going to take, and being able to sort of, get to where you are now and thinking about being able to make YouTube your full-time opportunity?
Yeah. So when I first started making YouTube videos, it was never, this is my path. It was never like, this is going to be my career, going to be my path. Right. It was more so back in the day, I used to go to like phone message boards, right? We'll talk about the latest phones and ROMs and all these like very specific, super nerdy things. And it got to a point where I started making videos kind of explaining what I'm talking about, because I'm more of a visual type of person. So I started making videos to go with my post. So I'll make a post like reviewing a ROM, reviewing a case or something like that. And then I made a video for it. And back then it was Google Videos. And I was literally just posting on there and posting a link on the forum. And then after a while, YouTube became a thing. I started posting to YouTube, and just little opportunities kind of popped up here and there. And as the wave of YouTube becoming a thing happened, I was just riding along that wave, right? And then it took it to a point where, YouTube ended up surpassing my 9-to-5 income. And then it got to a point where YouTube was surpassing my 9-to-5 time required to make that happen. So it just got to a point where I had to make a decision. I knew that point would happen. And I always knew that if I had to make that decision, that I would never make the decision. But if I was forced to make a decision, then it would actually have to happen. And that's kind of where I am right now.
Do you feel like as you've gotten further along in your career, as you've gotten older, you're married, you have a son, do you feel like those kinds of challenges make it more difficult to make the decision to go full time, make it easier, doesn't really affect the equation?
Yeah, 100% more difficult, right? As someone providing for their family, and for a while my wife wasn't working, you have to take a look at income, you have to take a look at things like health insurance and all those things. So a lot of it was basically the cost of health insurance here was just very expensive, and having a young child, you never know, one slip off the steps, one little thing that could happen. I mean, shoot, even me, as I get older, I had a nice hospital stay not too long ago. I mean, that could bankrupt people, right? So not having insurance was something that I couldn't do. And out-of-pocket insurance would have been twice my mortgage, right? So it was one of those things where I just didn't want to go that route without having that plan. But my wife went back to work, so she now has insurance, and that's kind of the route we're going to take. So I'm going to do the YouTube thing full time. My wife is going to handle the insurance piece, and at that point, we just, I guess for me, the big thing was to be able to have a normal schedule, because right now I don't have a normal schedule. Like right now, my full day is filled with work, right? And now being able to do this, I'll be able to be more of a family guy, kind of what I want, to be able to just turn the laptop off and say, okay, I'm off work, and spend time with the family more than just retreating to the basement after an hour spending time with my kid, and then I'm back to work.
As we've talked about in the past, I have a similar challenge with my own son, who's 2, and you're talking about balancing work life, which is not just for creators, but for folks that work in general, a real challenge. Do you find that you found a good groove now, particularly as you're thinking about the full-time direction on YouTube, that this is something that you feel you have a better grasp on, or is it still going to be an ongoing challenge?
I hope I would have a better grasp on it. My wife is very aware, because she's been with me throughout this whole YouTube journey, right? I remember coming to her and saying, like, I want to make YouTube videos. I remember having that conversation with her, like, so she knows everything. So she knows at different times of the year, there's going to be a lot of work. Like when a new device comes out, I'm going to be working. It's going to feel like the old days, right? But hopefully there's more days where I work my normal schedule, like she works her normal shift, my son's at school, and then I work while he's in school. When he's out of school, I'm off work. So that's the goal. And to be able to just establish boundaries with work and have office hours where I'm not checking email off hours and things like that. That's what I want to work towards. Day one, is it going to be perfect? No. Am I going to make mistakes? Yes, but it's going to take time. And I want to get to that point where I can treat YouTube as a normal job per se, and just be off the clock at a certain time.
The important thing I'm getting from that too is the sense that it's always a work in progress. You're always trying to figure out what the right balance is, and that's going to change as your relationship to your son grows and as your relationship with your wife changes and all that stuff. I really appreciate that call out, particularly for me. I just selfishly, that's something I have to remind myself of all the time. Tell me a little bit about when you found you had something that was really compelling in terms of your YouTube work. Like, what was the inflection point for you that it went from being something that was fun, a bit of a hobby, to, oh, this is real. I've really hit on something that's compelling.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had an aha moment, just because everything for me has been sort of a slow growth, right? I didn't have that one video that now I made it, now I arrived. You know what I mean? It's been just, for me, it's just been consistent. I would say for me, when I was actually looking to buy a house and I was looking at my income, and my accountant was like, yo, you've been consistently making money on this platform. You should use this as part of your income now. And so much, I looked at YouTube as like extra income to buy more devices and like buy more tech to make YouTube videos. Like I was literally reinvesting everything. I didn't rely on that income. And my accountant was like, hey, you need to rely on this income. This is great. This can help you. You should really consider that as the norm now. Because every year I always felt like, man, this is a good year. This was a good year. Wow, I don't think I can beat it. And then every year it's been better and better every single year. So it's just got to a point where I had to let go and say, you know what, this is my life. That this is how it works, and all this hard work is paying off for me.
Well, I think other creators I've spoken to have often talked about that aha moment. It's interesting to me that wasn't what I would say in reflection back to you is that your aha moment was your accountant telling you, hey, you've got a real thing here. You should include this in your mortgage. I think for a lot of creators, they really think of it being that one viral video, that one breakout that they experience that really tells them I've made it. It's refreshing to hear that for you, it was really about years of consistency and years of growth that really showed you that path. I think so much of modern influencer culture suggests that you really need to find that cultural, I don't even know what to call it, that cultural snap, right? That world view just changes on a lark, and it's often not that way. Other creators that I mean, do you find a similar story in terms of they've been just grinding and then, they've over time built it? Or are there others that you've talked to that have had that sort of inflection, viral video moment?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that it's two tiers. I think you have that person that had that viral video and it took them off to the next planet. But a lot of times when people have that viral video, it takes them to the next level. They're not ready yet to be at that next level. They didn't have that thing built in the background. They don't have the back channels. They don't have that knowledge. They don't have those contacts. So, you do see that person hit that viral video and they never can recapture that magic again. And they get frustrated and burned out because they never hit that virality again. And then you have someone like I don't want to just pick on myself all the time, but we have someone like Jeff, right? Who is just consistently making videos. And then when it does happen, when that opportunity presents itself, you're ready for what comes after it. You're ready for the negative comments that are going to come when you have a viral video because you have access to more people. You're ready for the new opportunities. You learn how to turn stuff down. I mean, it's a lot of things, right? And it's just being able to accept what's going to come next. And I think when you hit that virality and you're not ready for it, you don't expect anything. And then suddenly it happens, and then it's like a flash in the pan, and then it's gone before you even know what happened. So I think the method I'm doing is definitely more sustainable, just because I have built this up over the years. I have great contacts, and I have a community of people that rock with pretty much anything I do.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the sort of lack of preparedness for that viral video. I talked to Jason Lewis from Painfully Honest Tech on my last episode, and he really spoke eloquently about going from 30,000 followers to 120,000 followers really fast, and really not having a plan in place. And I think that speaks very specifically to those kinds of, you're speaking to those kinds of challenges. You talk about community. Who is in your community? Who do you rely on to stay engaged and consistent and sane during the times that are challenging?
Yeah, it's just it's the constant followers that will watch your content, always comment on things that you're making. Just because of the nature of YouTube, especially for someone who's into tech, where I'm not like a lifestyle blogger where I can't just generate content out of thin air, right? I have to talk about some product. I have to talk about some tech. Someone who will watch that video, even if they may not be into that tech, like, oh, cool, this is a new laptop I'm not interested in, but let me see what Kevin has to say about it. Instead of just, people who are just following me just to see just to see that iPhone video or just to see that Samsung video. That's a different type of follower. That is not like a fan, if you will. That is just someone who wants to see that product. So, having more of those people who just want to watch anything you make because they like you and they want to know your opinion specifically, those are the people you want to talk to, and you can't negate those people, even if that number is pretty small. So it's always important to kind of talk to those people.
Why not then build something like a Discord? There are some creators who build a lot of tools for communities to build around their own conversations where they're not reliant on the videos. Have you explored that? Maybe I shouldn't phrase this as why not so much as have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Is that something that appeals to you, doesn't appeal to you, feels like more work? I think a lot of creators seem to be split in terms of whether those kinds of things are worth the effort or not.
Yeah. So for me, I look at every opportunity and every avenue to engage my audience. But if I can't do it well, I don't want to do it at all. I don't want to just throw something out there and just, hey, join it. Let's see what happens. Like, if I'm going to do it, I want to really do it. And just right now, I'm spread so thin, I don't have the resources to do it properly. But there's always opportunities for something like that. I actually did have a Discord. When I did a lot of gaming videos, I had a Discord saying, if you want to game with me, here's my Discord. These are the days I game. If you want to game with me in my next video or just want to hang out with me, here it is. And I had 36 people join, and I gamed with a lot of people. And it was like, for me, it was just gaming and I just wanted people to game with. But for those people, it was like, yo, I'm gaming with the Tech Ninja. And, for me, it's just like, I'm a normal guy, like chill, like, let's just play games. But for those people, it was like really cool. Like, man, you know what? I've watched you many, many times for many years, and I get to now hang out with you. And I think for those people, that's like a super cool experience.
Well, who do you get starstruck by, and why is it me?
That's funny. Honestly, I don't get starstruck by anyone. And I just think maybe it's just the way I was born. I treat everyone as an equal, no matter who you are, no matter what your bank account looks like. Someone who walks up to me, approaches me and says, I love your videos, I'm going to treat them just like anyone else. That's just me. So the only time I would say, not even starstruck, but my first CES and running into people that I watched growing up on YouTube was kind of a cool experience for me. But starstruck, never like, I don't know. That's just not me.
I get that. I mean, do you feel, let me think about it in a different light then. Do you feel a sense of competition with other YouTube reviewers, or do you feel a sense more of camaraderie, a sense of we're in this together?
Yeah, I definitely sense camaraderie more than competition. There's 8 billion people in the world. We're not getting 8 billion views, and I'm not fighting for that many views. You know what I mean? So for me, I always look for ways to collaborate, bounce ideas off, because we're in this together, right? And, especially in consumer tech, no one's watching one video. For the most part, no one's watching one video and say, okay, I'm done. Like, people will consume multiple videos, and especially the way I approach my videos, I try to provide a unique angle. So hopefully when you watch my video, even after watching 5 or 10 videos or what have you, you get something else out of it watching my video that you're not getting anywhere else. And that's my goal as a content creator. I want you to have a unique experience watching my content.
I love that. I think the desire for something special and differentiated is really an important, for me, distinguisher between content creators who are really trying to build for an audience versus those that are just seeking money, which you often now see that a lot of folks see content creation as a way to get rich or get more money fast, trying to game systems and trying to build, folks that are ripping other people's content off and throwing links in descriptions that, ultimately are just meant to serve their bank accounts. When you laugh, this has probably been a problem for you more than once.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been approached by a lot of like crypto companies, and like, we'll pay you, so much money. Sometimes it was like, whoa, like pay you ton of money to put like the link in the description, top link in the description. Just don't just use this verbiage, sign up now, $50, whatever. I mean, they were throwing a lot of money out, and I was seeing other creators actually put those links in their description, so they were taking the money. But for me, I just think fast money, things like that can ruin your reputation, and that stuff travels really fast. And for me, I'm not throwing away 10 years of hard work over a good paycheck, but I'm not doing that because over time I'm going to make that money up eventually.
Totally. What do you see as being something to look out for in maybe the next 10 years or maybe the next 2 years? I mean, what for you is a trend you've noticed that you think is going to help bring out interesting and creative new content creators?
So for me, and this is something I'm struggling with, I'm very intentional about it this year, is short form content. And on the surface, like, whoa, you make 10-minute videos, making a 1-minute video should be easy. And I think that until I try to make an engaging 1-minute video that is informative and yet entertaining, where like you have different, it's for me, it's just relearning everything that I know. And there's a whole crop of younger creators that make this engaging 1-minute content that is just amazing to look at and amazing to watch. And it's just, that's the next space. You know what I mean? Is because as attention spans become, decreased, and YouTube understands this, and that's why they're putting so much money in shorts, and that's why everyone's making short form content too. It's just that is the space. I think there's a space for long form content. There's definitely a space for that, but I think the hunger for short form is because it's more consumable, it's more digestible, and it's just a more entertaining to watch. And being 100% honest, when my garbage disposal went out, I went to TikTok and I typed in garbage disposal fix. And I watched the first video, 30 seconds, fixed it. Instead of like, I've been here many times where my furnace goes out and I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm like scrolling through a 15-minute video trying to figure out how to heat the thermocoupler or whatever that I had to do to fix my furnace. If I could find a 1-minute video on TikTok to do it, I'm going to do it. So if I'm doing that, I know that other people are doing the exact same thing, and I need to be in those spots for that to happen.
That makes sense. I've been slowly and as we've talked about offline, trying to be consistent about dabbling in short form. I don't do, it's not natural to me either. And frankly, I talk too much. So 1 minute is very constraining. But I've been trying to pull shorts out of these interviews and put them up on YouTube. And it's really interesting comparing that traffic against traffic for the exact same clip on TikTok and Reels. And what I've discovered, and I don't know if you've experimented on, putting the same content in other spots. I'm finding that my YouTube content, despite the fact that my channel is new and I don't have a lot of followers, is really outperforming everything else. And it's catching much more quickly. Do you think YouTube is making a heavier investment, seeing where the directions are of, TikTok success, and Meta's trying to, I should disclose I work for Meta, but I have no impact on Reels in any way, shape, or form. But do you see that as being something that is driving? Don't give me that look. I don't work on that product, man. But do you see YouTube as being somebody that has a real edge in that fight versus TikTok, or is it still too early to tell?
Yeah, I definitely think YouTube has the edge. YouTube obviously has the name YouTube. TikTok has a lot of negative connotation behind it, as far as like the government and state organized company, and I mean there's traction of it trying to get banned, right? I mean there are things that's happening, and then the whole theory of TikTok, like, oh, TikTokers, like you don't seem as credible, and in public perception you don't see as credible. And I think when dealing with brands, I still think they treat TikTokers a little bit differently than they treat YouTubers, even if you're making short form content on the YouTube platform. And I feel like TikTok is it's heavy on the music, heavy on that entertainment value, which a lot of people go there to be entertained. But I still think YouTube, even shorts to a certain extent, can provide more value than TikTok. And then versus Instagram Reels, I see a lot of photographers like making content saying, oh, look at this picture, or hey, you want to see a reel? Well, here's a picture as a reel. I see a lot of those things on Instagram Reels. I feel like it's not targeted well, whereas TikTok is targeted well, but YouTube, I sort of feel like they're putting more into YouTube Shorts, because I always end up in the YouTube Shorts experience not knowing how I got there on YouTube. Like they find a way to kind of get you in that experience where you watch a video, the next video takes you to a Shorts, and now you're in that Shorts carousel, if you will.
Well, that makes sense. I think too, the difference between YouTube and other platforms. So most other platforms are utilizing less of the social graph and more of the content graph, right? So when I go to TikTok, for example, the only thing I care about is what's in my For You page. I'm not actively looking at the accounts I'm following, which to your point makes it a more difficult argument for a brand to want to invest in a content creator on TikTok, because how do we know that we're hitting the right audience? And I've always been impressed that YouTube kind of bifurcates that by saying, you know, we've got our solid recommendations engines, but there's also your subscription page, and you really can, you know, we make a bigger effort at showing you content that you're actively following. I can't help but wonder if that's going to change in the future, if they can maintain that duality for much longer.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but all I know is that they're investing a lot of resources and time and money in YouTube Shorts. So if anyone can do it, I think it's definitely Alphabet that can do it. You know, YouTube can actually, they have unlimited money at this point to kind of put behind it, and they also have the names too. So I don't know. You know, I was actually talking to a brand like PR manager about something regarding that, and I said, like, how many followers would a person on TikTok need to be comparable to like a YouTuber? Like what's the number? And they said that for them, like close to 1 million on TikTok is like 100,000 to them on YouTube. That is kind of what they're saying. So a 10-to-1 ratio, and they're like, you know, with TikTok, there's not real analytics. You don't know where the views are truly coming from. You know, they don't know if it's bought somewhere, like they don't understand that. And it's hard to have like a clickable link or anything like that. So brands are even not all the way on the short form content per se. Obviously there's going to be the outliers. There's going to be brands that want to work with it, trying to figure it out. But from a numbers standpoint, brands rather see a YouTube video than a short form 1-minute video, because it doesn't fully explain what it is. It doesn't give a grasp of what it is. So I still think there's going to be a market for both short form and long form content. I think they can kind of live together. Kind of like what you mentioned as far as like taking your podcast and chopping it up to 1-minute clips. I found that taking my YouTube videos and chop it to 1-minute clips didn't work great. So I need to kind of reinvest and relook at what I'm doing on short form. I need to be more intentional and shoot things for short form and not take my long form and make it short form. And that's kind of what I'm strategizing this year.
Well, that brings up an interesting point too, which is you're a one-man shop, right? You generally are doing all of this solo still.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do you build time for that? I mean, granted, going full-time on YouTube certainly helps,
Yeah.
but you've got a pretty well-established practice of shooting, editing, and producing long-form content. Where and how do you then think about building the short form? Does it come after the long form is finished? Or do you think you're going to take specific production time to shoot vertical and write a whole other script for short form?
Yeah. So right now, any video I work on, I make a 1-minute short form version of that video. I essentially take my camera and I flip it this way, and then I shoot the 1-minute version of it. And then I try to repurpose a lot of my clips to be the short form clips, but a lot of times I find myself just reshooting the clips. So, and the thing about short form that I'm finding is that you have to hold the attention span, because people can flick off so fast, right? So the thing is, like, even though it's a 1-minute video, I'm shooting so many clips for this 1-minute video. I mean, I am shooting 15 clips because I'm having to change backgrounds, move locations, and do different things. So a lot of times when I'm shooting B-roll of something and I like that scene, I would then just take my camera, flip it, because I have plates on both sides of the camera. So I'll flip it and shoot a vertical version of that. And then I'm going through footage, I'll just dump that in the vertical folder. So I am dual shooting right now, which is it's part of the process, man. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. If I don't do it, I'm getting left behind. So it's just another thing I add to the list of what I have to do. As far as time, editing a short form content video is pretty easy for me. So I'm not really worried about it too much. I can probably edit one in 10, 15 minutes. So not the end of the world, as long as I shoot for it properly.
I'm just doing clipping, and that takes me longer. So that's
Yeah.
refreshing to hear that once you get really good at it, it doesn't actually take that long.
Yeah.
Is there a point at which you think you're going to bring on other people and go from, a one-person experience to, sort of a larger production company?
Yeah. So for me, it's just kind of getting my feet wet of what full-time looks like, and then figure out the new the new budget situation, because my 9 to 5 job, I actually make pretty decent money. Like it's a salary that many people would live off and be okay with, right? So definitely losing that is going to be a little bit different, right? So I have to see what the new budget looks like and then kind of figure out what the time allowance is. So there are times where I work with the editing house when things get very busy. I will send things off to editing, but to be honest, when I get that video back, it doesn't feel like my video, and the amount of time sending them the video, waiting days for it to come back, and then having to edit the video and fix the video so it feels like me, I could have edited the whole video in that time. So it's one of those things that I don't like working with an editing house because of that. Now, if I could have an editor who can match my style, I've had those before, and those have worked great. Very little input from me. But at the end of the day, I like to edit my own content. I like to write my own stuff, and just because it's my voice. So it's really hard for me to kind of let that go unless I had someone with me in-house. But literally, it'll be in my house, and I'm in Michigan. Not many creators are out here. So it's just one of those things that it's just, it'll be me for a while until I can figure out a way to bring someone on.
Hey, you just get a film major from Ann Arbor. It's fine. It's easy. Come on. We can solve this problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tell me let's change gears for a minute. Tell me a little bit about your hardware and your setup. What are you shooting on? What are you editing on? Break it down for folks in terms of like, what's your current hardware setup?
Yeah. So my main camera, which you'll see 99% of the time, it's an A7S3. Sony is just a lot of shooters use Sony. Sony right now is killing the game for mirrorless cameras. And from before that, I had an A7 III, which was a fine camera, but it was just one of those things that I was ready to kind of invest the gear, something a little bit higher. I have a ton of different lenses, so I don't really want to get into all those, but my main lenses, I have a macro lens. So when you see really close detailed shots of like speaker grills and those like buttons, like really close detailed, I use a macro lens. And I think that's one thing that takes production to that next level, is like really showing people what I'm talking about. And that's my key. I want to be very visual. They have like a standard kit lens, which is a 24-105. And then I have a ton of lighting. Lighting is very important. Right now in front of me, you can't see it, but I have a huge aperture 120D light, very big light. This light is bigger than me. And that's how you get that soft, flattering look that I kind of use. And I have a bunch of little mini lights that I use for pops of color and things like that. I try to keep it as simple as possible, to be honest, even though I have like pretty high-end gear, but I try not to go crazy with a lot of stuff, right? And that's kind of what it is. I try to keep it simple. I edit on a MacBook Pro, M1 Pro, MacBook Pro, and I pretty much dock it into a workstation where I have like a full 38-inch monitor, which I can work on. But, having the kid and trying to do everything at once throughout the day, a lot of times I literally have the laptop on my lap and I'm editing videos from there. And then audio-wise, I have a different types of audio, but I'm using DJI Mic 2 right now. So anytime I'm sitting at a desk, I'll be using something like this, which I think sounds okay. But I also have a shotgun microphone that I can plug into my camera via XLR and use that for kind of the high-end audio that you'll see, like if I'm sitting at like an A-roll station, whatever, to get that really clean audio. But after that, I know I named a lot of stuff, but after that, it's really, really simple. I try to keep it as simple as possible, just because when you start going overboard, everything takes so much time to set up and tear down. I just don't have the time for that. And I try to make my videos as pretty as possible, as fast as possible, and trying to be very, I'm looking for the word, very intentional about my time.
No, it makes total sense. Is the shotgun mic a Sennheiser? What are you using on that one?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. No, I'm using a Deity S2 Mini, Deity S2 Mini, which I've compared it to the Sennheiser before. And unless you're like really listening with the headphones, like really getting into audio, you really can't tell the difference, especially it being a controlled environment where I'm shooting right now. It doesn't have any echo, doesn't have any type of external sound. I shoot with my kids at school. So for the most part, it works just as good, and it's like half the price. So
love that. And I got to ask, what's your daily driver on your phone right now?
Yeah, it's very basic iPhone 14 Pro Max.
Yes,
I know.
One more for the iPhones.
Yeah, Team iPhone. But I typically do have another phone with me, like a phone that I'm always testing and reviewing. I can't disclose what phone I have that I'm currently using. When will this podcast go? If I could tell you what this podcast
soon enough that you probably shouldn't say it.
Okay,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I won't tell you what I have, but I have another phone over here that I'm rocking right now. So,
well, I do let me move on for a second from the equipment, although I do want to come back to that. You can't talk about the phone that you're working on now. As a professional content creator, being under NDA is a big challenge, I imagine, where you're trying new things, you're reviewing stuff that people haven't seen yet. Has that proven to be a challenge? Have you accidentally broken NDA before? Is that something that's just, it comes with the territory?
yeah, I mean, maybe my early years, but I've been doing this. I've had access to NDA things for probably the last 5 years. So for me, actually longer than 5 years, probably last 7 years. So for me, it's just part of the job. But it's nothing crazy where it's like you can't go out in public with the phone, and you never run into things like that. That's never a thing with NDA products that I've ran into. You just can't obviously talk about it, and you can't make a video about it, or it can't be in your video. I think there was one time I took a picture of my desk or something, and a phone was on there, and people were asking what phone that was. And it looked like a phone that's already been out. So I said it was that phone, and everyone was like, I don't know about that. And then my video came out 2 days later in that exact color. And they were like, I knew it. So,
I don't know if you'll remember this, but when you and I first became friendly, which would have been, I want to say 2017, early 2017, thereabouts. I had a friend who at the time was working at Apple, and he casually at one point pulled out his phone to look something up, and it was the iPhone 10 about 4 months before the iPhone 10 was being released. Wow. and I maybe I never shared this with you, but I remember begging him to let me leak it. I was only being funny. I wasn't ever serious, but I was just like, this would be such a coup. Please let me do this. And he's like, if you do that, I'm out of a job and they're probably going to sue you. And I was like, not worth it, but almost.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
That might have been a good one. Yeah. Let's get back to hardware for a second. Do you find that you need to constantly upgrade your gear? Do you feel like you hold on to it for a long while? I feel like there's, particularly in the tech review world, there's this constant culture of needing sort of the newest cameras, the newest lenses, make sure they're always up to date with the latest firmware. That strikes me as being sort of like keeping up with the Joneses in this world. Is that way for you?
No, not at all. My A7 III, I had 4 years. My A7S III, I've had 3 years, 2 years now. And I don't see a reason to upgrade it. The new version of my lens came out, didn't even look at it. So yeah, I mean, that's not me. Like even my MacBook, like the new MacBook M2 just came out, didn't even look at it. Didn't even care. Didn't cross my mind. I'm not reviewing it. So why would I even look at it? Yeah, I don't believe in that because I feel like the hardware I have can produce what I'm producing so far. Now the moment my hardware starts to hinder me, the moment my hardware starts to prevent me from getting my job done or becomes unreliable, yes, I will upgrade, and most likely I'll get the best thing that's feasibly possible for me because this is how I work. But at the end of the day, if it's working fine, I don't touch it. That's just me.
I like that. That strikes me as being reasonable because you're not then spending 10x more every year on hardware you don't need, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't, there's no material difference in terms of your edit yet between an M1 and an M2. As long as it's a Mac, it seems to be working. So that's good.
Yeah.
And are you editing Adobe Final Cut? What's your environment of choice?
Yeah. So I've been using Final Cut for about 8 years now. But I also can say that I'm editor agnostic. So I've been editing video since 2004. I've been editing video. I started off on tapes editing video. I'm that old, but I can use anything as long as it's a timeline editing software. I can edit with anything. So started off on Sony Vegas and kind of used Corel, then used Adobe for many years, and then went to Final Cut. I played with DaVinci a little bit. It doesn't matter to me. It ends up being all the same. Once you adjust your keyboard shortcuts, it's the same app for me. But I stick with Final Cut. Just a nice workflow for what I'm doing.
I chatted. I said the we, like the royal we. I chatted with Jeff Mendez, our friend El Jefe, and he mentioned that he continues to use his iPad and he's using Lumafusion for his edits. Mm-hmm. Have you tried that? Do you find that you really need to stick to the traditional keyboard, mouse, monitor experience, or is there something to the idea of like iPad editing that maybe somebody should consider if they were kicking off their content creation career?
Yeah, Lumafusion is an excellent software. I've used it when I've shot an iPhone vlog. I edit the whole thing on the iPhone. Like I use Lumafusion to do that. Lumafusion is excellent software. For me, as far as speed, just using my laptop just makes more sense, and I have more plugins in Final Cut. But I think starting off using Lumafusion's $30 software, you can use current hardware that you have. It works great, and they're always upgrading it, and it's just it's wonderful software. It's not the software I should be using just because of my workflow per se. But I think starting off, so here's the thing. The entry point for making video is so low now that anyone can do it if you just want to do it. When I started off, it was an investment. It was hard to do video. And now it's so simple now. And Lumafusion makes it extremely simple. You can use your phone to edit high-end video or use an iPad.
Is there an opportunity for something like a Lumafusion to become the de facto standard for content creators? Or do you feel maybe that there's just something limiting about the touchscreen iPad experience that just can't be replicated?
So for me, it's the file structure on the iPad that makes it a little bit difficult for me. I'm very organized when it comes to files, and the iPad is dealing with large files is very tough sometimes, and just moving them to certain folders, and then Lumafusion puts them in its own folder. Like you're even though you have access to a files app, you're still in this walled garden, if you will. And it makes it a little bit hard to move files for me. So like if I put content on an external hard drive and I want to edit it, I still have to move it to Lumafusion, which puts it on the iPad at that point. And then for me to have a 1 terabyte iPad, well, I'm paying $1,200 for that, $1,300 for that thing. At that point, might as well spend a couple $100 extra bucks to get a MacBook at that point. So for me, file structure is a big deal. And then access to high-end plugins. There's not that plugin structure with Lumafusion, but also Final Cut has been around much longer. So I think it's unfair to judge them based off the amount of time they've been around, because maybe they're working on something where plugins can be compatible and things like that. But until that happens, I don't know. For me, it's hard to make that leap, but I think for many people, they can make that leap, especially if you're coming from a mobile shooting environment. If you're using just your phone to shoot, you can airdrop it right to Lumafusion and start working on it. You can even start the edit on your phone and then move that XML file wrapper to your iPad and continue the edit, which is amazing. Which I did that. I had that workflow during CES. I didn't bring my laptop at all. I shot everything on my phone, and then I did some editing on Lumafusion on my phone if I wanted to, or I would just wrap it up and then airdrop it to my iPad to complete the edit. And that was working really great for my short form content.
No, I love that. I think you make a really good point too, that the longevity of a product like Final Cut or even Adobe Premiere, which has been based on other editing software, sometimes has a leg up on some of these newer options, and it may just take time for them to catch up. I'm reminded of some friends who do audio editing that they've continually been frustrated for a long time because their plugins for Pro Tools kind of got stuck at a version of Pro Tools when they migrated certain parts of the architecture, and those plugins not only didn't work, but they were no longer being updated. So they got stuck because there were no new versions of what they were used to using on whatever was Pro Tools 6 or something, when there was, version 10 or 11 out at that point. And, certainly no options on other systems to replicate similar kinds of transitions or fixes and that kind of sort. So I wonder if we'll get to a point where, production will slow down on something like a Final Cut and move to iPad when, they can move quickly, when they, when the file structures are, or maybe when file storage is automated in such a way as you no longer have to think about it, which could be the other thing. I know storage is a big challenge for a lot of creators. Do you have a NAS? Do you keep everything, accessible on a network, or is it all just on your local machine?
Yeah. So when I upgrade my MacBook, I go with the largest storage. So right now I have 4 terabytes on the MacBook. And I also do have an external drive, which is 8 terabyte, which it's rated. Well, it's actually rated. It's 16, but it's rated at 8. So I have backup. So any content I'm not currently working on, I move it to that. And then once that starts to fill up, I start dumping things off. But I typically keep all the phones on there, and any ancillary product I cover, like, I'm not sure if I need this router from 3 years ago. I don't think I'm going to reference that piece of hardware. So then I delete it at that point. But I pretty much keep all my raw footage as much as I can. So like if I reference like, oh, this new Galaxy phone looks like the one from 3 years ago, or compared to I have that footage, which is really nice to pull that footage up instead of grabbing the phone out of my drawer and kind of working with it that way. So I do keep all of my footage. For the most part, it's okay. I don't shoot raw or anything like that. That takes a ton of space. I shoot like normal 100-bit files. So it's okay so far. I know eventually I'm going to have to move off to something else or even move that elsewhere. But as of right now, I have enough space, and I have about 4 years worth of videos that I have. So I'm totally okay with it.
That makes tremendous sense. Do you see do you see an opportunity in the future where raw makes more sense, or is it just the kinds of stuff that you shoot? Because you look at somebody like Marquez Brownlee or our friend Austin Evans, who, they pride themselves on everything is shot raw. They have, 10 or 20 terabytes worth of footage from, these last 3 shoots. And now they have to sift through it and figure out how to, downgrade it so it's really editable. That just strikes me as the kind of stuff that is maybe for bigger teams, it makes sense. But for somebody like you with a single person production crew, the benefits are never going to outweigh the negatives.
Yeah. The only thing that I started doing was shooting in log, which is like a flat format, but then I have a LUT that I put on top of it, which gets my color exactly the way I want it. Now, as far as shooting in raw, I think there's definitely some benefits where if you don't nail the shot, you could always adjust it to make it look great, especially shooting outside. If I could shoot raw outside, I would, just because of the sky and blown out and things like that. And they also have the cameras that enables them to shoot raw. But for me, even if I had the camera to shoot it, I don't think that would be something I would do, just because the time it takes. I mean, they do have editors. They have people on staff that can color videos and do all these very specific things. And at the end of the day, you're still putting it on YouTube, which is a compressed video format. So when it's all said and done, what they have on their computer, what it looks like, and then you put it on YouTube, is not going to look too different than anyone else that's making a really great high quality video on YouTube as well. You're not going to be able to really look at those 2 videos and say, this was shot in raw, this one was shot in log, or anything like that. And that is my opinion. That's not knocking those guys by any means. I'm just saying the average person that's watching that content would not be able to see the difference. So for me, it doesn't make sense for me.
No, that I think you point to something interesting too, which is there may also be other needs for those kinds of content creators when they're shooting that raw footage. If they're doing something with a sponsor where they've agreed to send that footage to the sponsor for their own purposes, maybe they need it to be in raw, or maybe, there's 20 different other reasons for it. But I always find it interesting because you're right. The compression on a YouTube video is so substantial. It may be displayed at 2 or 4K, but you're not getting the full 2 or 4K worth of information that you would be getting if you were looking at it on a TV in somebody's office running the original file through a player. So I'm always fascinated by that, because I think it's not that it's not a good use of time and energy, but it always strikes me that you just lose so much of it at the end result. It just never comes through as being, you can do it as an innovation sometimes, but for the most part, if you're just always shooting in that way, it kind of loses in the translation, some of the meaning.
Yeah. And also, for me, 85% of my views comes from cell phones as well. So it's just like, shooting raw,
right,
exporting to 8K, and they're watching on a 1080p display or QHD display. I don't know. It just doesn't, I try to be very practical. So for me, it's not practical. Now I get the passion project thing. I get like, you want to make the best videos possible. I fully understand that. But for me, with time is very limited, it just doesn't, I can't roll with that.
Makes sense. All right. Let's round third and head home here with a couple of quick questions about other content creators. You and I have had dinner in person many a time with our good friend, Andrew Edwards. What is your favorite meal that we've ever shared with Andrew? Because I've got a few stories. I know you do too. And I feel like I'm going to call him out here, mostly because, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
I have a couple of favorites. Do you have one dinner in particular with Andrew that you recall that we should call out?
I do not, just because I've eaten with him so many times over the years, and just kind of anecdotal. Geez. Andrew is like, sorry to take this to a different conversation, but it's going to come back home. I think when you create content for a living and this is your job, I think not many people can understand and relate the things you go through, the mental burnout, the fatigue, the dealing with negative all those things that come with making content. And I'll say Andrew was my first friend in this space. that understood me and understood the things I was going through, because my friends in the outside world look at me like, I want to do what you do. You play with tech, you do this, you do all these things. That is so cool. And yes, it is cool. I'm not arguing that, but there is a different set of challenges that comes with that. And not many people understand that. So Andrew, to me, he's literally like my legit best friend in real life and in this world, because you find community for people who really understand, really get you. And Andrew has expanded my world of eating and trying new things and fine dining and all those things. So I want to give Andrew a lot of respect as far as extending my palate in life of eating and all those things. And those are things I'm going to pass to my kid, like teaching him different types of food and exploring different cultures of food and connecting over food. And those things are extremely important. So I do want to give some kudos to that. As far as those things. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've eaten some things that I never thought I'd eat, but meeting him, and I then can have those experiences and tell people, oh, if you're going to be in Austin, Texas, make sure you go to this place. This is a great place to go. If you're going to be in LA, I like this type. Oh, you go in there, try Korean barbecue. Make sure you order it. Like, I can do those things now, which makes me really cool. But eating with you and Andrew, all those experiences sort of blend together because we have been to so many nice places together. And I don't have a specific moment, but I will say the best eating session, the eating day with Andrew, is when we were in San Francisco. And then, I kid you not, within a span of 4 hours, we ate 3 times. Heavy food too. We first woke up, had breakfast in the hotel, and then we were going to a lunch spot, but we were going to do video, like work on some content on the way to the lunch spot. But in process, Andrew was like, oh, dude, I heard this place is great. I heard this has amazing desserts. We're going to go there for dessert. So we literally left breakfast, took an Uber ride to dessert, and then we stayed a little too long and then went to lunch. And then we had a dinner in 3 hours. Like, we had like a whole event that had hors d'oeuvres and then dinner after that. I was like, Andrew, all we did today was walk around, took 3 pictures, and we ate food. He's like, what's the problem? I was like, there is no problem, Andrew. So the following day, he's like, let's eat. I was like, bro, I'm full. I am full from yesterday. I will be full for the next week. Do not ask me about food, Andrew. And literally that day, I drank water up until probably 7 p.m. Then I finally ate again. So, yeah.
I've had a day like that with Andrew. They're tough. My favorite, though, and you and I have, I mean, the 3 of us have had great meals together. I remember we've done CES meals where we've had 12 other creators with us, where we've just, charged, an arm and a leg to a company for it. But my favorite still is E3 a couple of years ago. It was me and Andrew and 2 other creators. One of them was Matthew Moniz. I'm forgetting who the other one was. But Andrew had found a Sushi Omakase restaurant that he really wanted to try. And of course, Omakase is prefix meal. It's, hundreds of dollars per person. And it's, you don't get to decide. This is what the chef is sending out. And I didn't realize that before we booked it. So my favorite moment there is when Andrew sits down, we realize what we've ordered. We're going through it. And meal or section 7 of the 12-step meal, they bring out these leaves that are deep fried. And Andrew goes, oh, these are interesting. What is this? And the waiter goes, oh, these are deep fried marijuana leaves. And we really want you to just enjoy the experience of having something deep fried that you never thought you'd have. And I remember Andrew going like, this is going to get me high. And they're like, no, sir, there's no cannabis left in this. And they were like, okay. Or we were like, okay, enjoy. We took 2 bites and we're both like, this is terrible. This is not good. We did not enjoy that. And that sort of set the tone for the rest of it. It's like, if anything wasn't quite up to par, it was like, well, at least it's not a deep fried piece of weed and we're okay. So
that's great.
That's
great.
If there's anybody in their life who should have considered adding food review and food critic to their content creation schedule, it should have been Andrew.
I love when you guys explain food. It's my favorite thing. And unfortunately, Andrew was not at CES, so I was doing my best Andrew impressions to keep the spirit alive. I have a pretty good Andrew impression. I'm not sure if you want to hear it.
I mean, I'm happy to hear it if you want to share it. It's up to you. I don't want to force you into it.
Whatever, let's do it.
Let's hear it. All right, Andrew, tell me a little bit about the dessert that you're enjoying right now.
Okay, all right. First of all, we're going to take the meat, put it on top of the bone marrow, and then on top of that, a little bit of ice cream. That's it.
You understand I'm going to clip this out and send it to him right now. This is the first thing I'm doing.
Put the sprinkles on top? Did you put the sprinkles on top? If you didn't put the sprinkles, man, what are you doing, man? You got to put the sprinkles. And then when Andrew wants to leave, man, we out here in this. Man, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here. Yeah, I keep Andrew's spirit alive when I go eat. I can't help.
That's pretty good. He and I went to see in Seattle. It's probably about a year and a half ago now. We went to go see one of the local wrestling shows, and watching Andrew watch wrestling is I mean, it's like if you could watch the pulse of the crowd embodied in a single person. The number of times that he's getting up and he's clapping, he's like, oh, you see that guy over there? Let me tell you his story, man. His dad passed away, and he's been fighting in his dad's honor, and his dad's sitting in the corner, like it's just a whole, it's the kayfabe kind of part of the show, and you watch the whole thing, and it's just like, this is like sitting with TikTok. Like if TikTok could talk to me and explain what's happening, right? This is what it's like. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how we turned this into the Andrew Edwards hour, but
that's my fault. That's my fault.
No, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Are there other creators that you think, if somebody's just discovering you for the first time, like, are there other creators in your sphere you'd also refer them to? Anybody in the tech review that you're like, oh, I really love what this guy's doing, you should check this out?
I'm not going to answer because I don't want other people to kind of like, why didn't you think of me? So I rather just watch me.
Then just watch. You know what? That's a perfect place to end. Just watch Kevin.
Yeah. It's for me, it's really tough. And to be honest, I don't watch, this is going to sound bad. I don't watch tech content because I don't want it to influence anything I have to say about it. So
that makes sense.
And it's what I do for a living. And so I don't want to just do that all day. Like I watch a lot of other stuff. I watch video essays on my camera I forgot. My camera has this thing where like if you do different hand gestures, it does different things. So it just kind of
let's see that. Wait a minute. No. Let's change it. Let's show me that a little.
And I do this, it zooms in. And if I do this, it zooms out. Hold on, let me try it again. It has to flat.
If anybody's listening to the audio version of this, this is going to be very confusing.
Okay. I think it follows me now.
It's on motion tracking now.
Yeah. I forgot how I did that. Okay. Anyways, there we go. But, yeah. So anyways, I don't watch a ton of tech YouTube just because it's what I do. And when I'm watching YouTube, I want to break from that. So I watch other stuff. So that's kind of what I do. And
anything in particular that you watch?
Yeah. So I love watching Johnny Harris. He is he does like deep dive onto geopolitics and maps and geography and things like that. I love watching that type of content. Things that, I love history. I'm big on history, and watching that stuff just gets me excited about history. City Beautiful, it's like a city planner that talks about different things about different cities and how to navigate. I watch It's History, which is like a history deep dive on very specific topics. Like I'm learning all about New York and why it's as quirky as it is, just stuff like that. That's kind of what my content leads me. Just because I don't know, I do tech all day. I just don't want to unwind watching tech. That's,
makes total sense. Listen, I watch people compete in Twitch old school video game randomizers, and my YouTube channel, my YouTube feed is filled with clips from D&D and Game Changers from Dropout. I get it. Awesome. You can't over index on one thing too much because it'll just burn you out for it.
I understand. Yep, makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Kevin, this has been awesome. I really appreciate the time. Is there anywhere in particular? I mean, obviously finding you on YouTube is the number one thing, but is there anywhere else you want to drive folks to come and check out some of the content you're producing?
Yeah. So, I mean, wherever content is being made, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those places, I'm Tech Ninja Speaks. You can find me on there, or Kevin the Tech Ninja. Either or should lead you in the right direction. And I hope to see you on my channels one day, kind of hang out and hang with me while I talk about some technology and make a cool video for it too. So
sounds good. And hey, anytime you need a terrible, awkward co-host, you know who to call. I'm here for you. You know that.
for sure. Yeah. You're the best at terrible, awkward. So there you go.
Thanks. Very cool, man. Well, I appreciate the time. Thanks very much. And thank you all for watching or listening. Hopefully we'll see you back for the next episode. Kevin, have a good one, man. Take it easy.
All right. Take care, man.